Hello, I'm Abby. Now, November the 2nd is Stress Awareness Day, so in honour of that, and to hopefully make you a little bit more aware about what can cause you stress, and even better than that, to help bring some of your own stress levels down, I've created this short awareness video, so enjoy. Now, there's a possibility you could be watching this thinking, well, do we really need to be aware of stress? It's something that everybody knows about. It's not a new concept, and people experience different levels of it. And yeah, that's true. Experiencing stress is normal. It affects us, everyone, at one time or another. And generally, having a little bit of stress isn't bad for us because it can give us that bit of motivation that we need in order to drive behaviour to get things done, or maybe even to make better choices. But then if we experience too much stress, or we remain feeling stressed for a long time, it can have a detrimental effect on our health. And we need to be aware as well, with that in mind, that experiencing stress in itself isn't a bad thing. We don't need to panic or immediately think there's something wrong with us or that we can't cope if we do experience a bit of stress. But it is helpful to know how to manage it in the long term and what to do if things do get too much, and ideally, how to stop things from getting to that too much point in the first place. So I'm going to invite you now to take a self-assessment and measure how full is your stress bucket. So as you can see on your screen, there is a bucket. Now if you imagine that your stress levels are approximately where this green line is. Now this is where we have our everyday or manageable stresses, like making sure that you get up when your alarm goes off, you're ready in time for work or whatever it is that you've got to do, meeting your basic needs like eating, drinking, sleeping, those kind of things where we're aware that we need to do them, but they're manageable. They don't cause us too many problems. And bear in mind as well that this is going to be different for different people. What's manageable for one person might be really, really difficult or really, really stressful for another. But that's where we are when we're feeling good. But then when stress starts to pile up, you can imagine that it's filling our bucket to about the halfway point where this amber line is. Now, it's still quite manageable at this stage, but it's a bit of a warning that if we don't do something about it here, then we could end up filling up even further to where this red line is and beyond. And that's when our stress levels get critical, where it becomes actually quite hard to do anything because we're feeling so stressed and so overwhelmed. So viewing stress as a bucket and how full your bucket is at the moment in terms of stress can be quite a nice visual way of identifying how stressed you're feeling at the moment and whether you need to take the time to manage some of that or whether you're good to go. Now you'll notice as well at the bottom of this bucket that there are 4 blue dots, and these represent holes. Now the holes are tools that we can use to reduce the levels of stress in our buckets so that there's always a drainage system in place. But even so, we've still got to be careful that they don't get too blocked. So that's the stress bucket analogy. So what kind of things then tend to make our stress bucket fill up? Now, I said in the last slide that different things can be different triggers for different people, and your stress bucket and what fills it is going to be personal for you. But it's really important to recognise these things so that we're better armed to deal with stress as and when it arises. Now, these could be things like work. It could be relationships, whether that's romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships. There could be all sorts of different pressures on different sides that can make us feel quite stressed, especially when it comes to communicating. If we feel like we've got a lot of things to do and aren't sure what to do next, we can feel quite overwhelmed. And also, when things aren't in our control, that can also be quite stressful for a lot of people. And another one as well, being late. And again, these are going to look like different things for different people. What overwhelms me might not overwhelm you. What I can deal with not being in control of, you might find really, really difficult. But that's the whole point. It's your stress bucket and it fills for you. But there are things that we can do to bring down those stress levels though. Now, one of them, and a lot of people think of this when they think about stress, is mindfulness, because mindfulness isn't just about sitting and meditating. It's about being aware of your present moment, about what's happening now, without having any judgment or expectations. And there are various techniques that we can use as well to help us to be mindful so that we can utilize that in the moment where it counts. Taking part in hobbies, things that give us pleasure, are another way that we can bring our stress levels down and have a little bit of escapism as well. And that could be anything. It could be reading, writing, music, sport, but something that gets you into the state of what we call flow, where you're so involved in something and enjoying it so much that it feels like time's flying. And if you have something that gives you that sensation, then that's wonderful. That's exactly what you're looking to achieve for your own well-being. Spending time with people that you care about. Because as humans, and I say this a lot, we are social creatures, and the social relationships that we engage in and that we nurture and that we enjoy also have that reciprocal effect of being really good for our well-being and bringing down our stress levels. Whether it's enjoying somebody's company or having a friend or someone that you trust, you can just talk to and air whatever has been stressing you about the day or the time can be really, really helpful. Exercise, but making sure it's something that you enjoy. Don't force yourself to go to the gym if you really, really don't want to, or to suddenly take up running in the middle of winter. Find a way to move that feels good for you. Some people might find something like dancing, or going for a bike ride, or even going for a walk. It could be anything, as long as it gets your heart rate up. And whilst you're focusing on that as well, then you're not focusing on what's stressing you either. So that's a bit of a win-win too. And another really, really vital one is being self-aware. So it's recognizing what your stress levels are and what your triggers are, because the more that we know ourselves and the more that we're aware of ourselves in that way, then the less likely we're going to get triggered by a stressful situation. And if we are, then we're more prepared to be able to handle it. Now, if you are experiencing stress regularly, or even not so regularly, the really important thing to know is that you're not alone and that there are resources and sources out there that can help you. A few of those include organisations such as Mind, Rethink Mental Illness, and also NHS Every Mind Matters. I will include the links to these in the comments as well, but they also come up top results for Google search too, if you want to quickly have a look at those. And also, if you feel like you do require support in managing your own stress bucket, then get in touch with me as well for a one-to-one approach, because I can, maybe there's something that I can work with you, whether it's confidence, organising things, balancing things, communication, and then having those extra skills might have a positive impact on reducing your stress levels as well. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch and listen today. Um, If stress or there are any other aspects of your well-being that you'd like to talk about or you feel like you'd like some support with, just bear in mind that I work with individuals or I provide in-house training as well to groups and organisations. So get in touch if there's a way that I can help you. Anyway, I hope you have a stress-free as possible rest of the week and take care.